Hey, welcome to another exciting adventure of the Cranky Geeks. We have a bunch of cranks here to make it all exciting. I'm your host, John C. Dvorak. Before we go on, let's introduce today's fabulous guests, beginning with Carlos Rodella. Finally made it back to the show after stiffing us a few times. He's with Chemical Bun Productions.
That's the name. Don't wear it out.
What do you do there?
We produce web shows, internet shows. Here I'm one of them.
Okay. Dan Gooden's down there at the end. He's a reporter for the Register, and he's in the hot seat. And finally, Sarah Lacey, listed here as an author and personality. She seems to have one.
Whatever happened to reporter?
Are you a reporter now too?
Okay. That's what I've done for 15 years.
Well, she's a reporter, but she's got a book coming out, so I put author. I think it's got more prestige
classier
in this day and age. So here's the big story as far as I'm concerned for the day, which is why did Intel buy McAfee? If you haven't been following this, Intel spent how much, Dan, on this thing?
$7.68 billion with a B.
So McAfee's a company that's kind of in a business that's not what I would call growth industry, and they have, I think they're doing $2 billion in sales, generally speaking, on a year-to-year basis.
And it's a terrible product.
You said that, but the point is that it seems that they would sell for like 2 to 4 billion max, and so Intel buys them for 7. What is wrong with this picture?
Well, I'm not sure.
Aside from everything.
Right, aside from everything. This has to be the WTF of the tech coverage this week. It's just a huge
I'd say
head
the
scratcher.
year. This is the weirdest acquisition I've seen since eBay bought Skype for $2.6 billion, and everyone kept trying to say, no, we get it, and cobble together arguments that never made any sense. Sure enough, it was divested at a loss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so to be fair to Paul Otellini and the Intel camp, they say that security is the third pillar of computing now, sort of complementing connectivity like Wi-Fi and power consumption like they have in the their laptop chips. But it just doesn't make sense. You're not going to put a scanner that scans hundreds of thousands, millions of titles on a piece of silicon.
No, you can't, because these things have to be upgraded constantly.
Right.
I mean, anybody with virus software knows that on a daily basis they can download all these new signatures.
Right. That's absolutely correct. And so it's a huge head scratcher. I mean, there are some things. I mean, if Intel really could make a compelling case that their chips filter out web threats better than AMD chips, that would be an obvious reason to buy an Intel over an AMD, but that doesn't seem.
How about this for a thought? There's a patent in there that is worth $7 billion.
A virus patent?
Some sort of patent. I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't want a virus patent from McAfee. I mean, how many people
you
have
don't
that
know
on
that
their
they
computers
you
right
don't
now?
know they're sitting
they are
an awful product.
No, to be true, they are the number 2 maker of antivirus software behind
because
The number
making
2
of it,
maker
but
in a slowing market, $7 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what's weird. Like, I can buy the pillar that like security has something to do. It's a third pillar of computing. Okay, I can buy the whole we need to get out of hardware and more into services and software, higher margin. Okay, but those should have been arguments 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like all of the arguments they're giving are like the most retro arguments. Like this is what HP was saying. This is what EMC was saying when it was buying VMware. Like, where is Intel then?
For that much money, they could have bought anybody else. Like
How about this? How about this? There's a patent in there worth $7 billion. Some
I think
patent.
I heard that before. That was you. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're trying to hide something in their earnings or goose growth or
It's
do
secret
something
business.
like that.
It has to do with the mafia. You heard it here first.
You want to throw out a crazy theory?
I think
There's nothing crazy about the mafia.
JFK?
Yeah. Bigfoot and Princess Diana.
We'll go to the next story, which 300,000 WinPhone 7 developers, apparently, according to Microsoft. 300,000 people have downloaded the SDK, and they're all developing for Windows Phone 7, the new phone from Microsoft. Does anybody think this is a product that's going to make it in any way, shape, or form in this market?
I'll tell you why it could potentially be cool. Like, I still love the Android market. I love it. If only half of those people develop, it's 150,000 apps to open with. That's pretty impressive. But what is really cool, though,
they'll all be flashlights.
They could be crap. But listen, 360 integration could be amazing. So the Xbox 360 has this integration where you can play. You can actually play games that you have at home, and that kind of integration. Believe me, I'm not the first one to jump on the bandwagon, but if they could do that right, that could be really cool.
Because
gaming is massive.
That's a massive.
I mean, that's
like if they well in mobile.
Yeah.
Right. I recently saw some of what the game integration at some tech event, and it looked pretty good. So it didn't look terrible. The avatars were there, and the gameplay connectivity was there. So I'm hoping that it's cool because I'm a gamer, but I agree that
No, this is a if angels dance on pins kind of if. I mean, it's not going to happen. 300,000 downloads doesn't mean anything. That was one person who couldn't get his connectivity right, and really, I mean, that means.
Nice.
I mean, if we learned a long time ago that downloads means nothing. And I mean, we're already seeing that Android is having a lot of trouble catching up to the iPhone's apps, and there's no reason that I can think of why somehow Windows is going to do a better job at that.
No, yeah, and I agree that, I mean, actually Android's doing really well right now. I mean, they're at, 35% of the market, I think. So I think I think it's awesome, and I'm an Android guy, so I just hope the connectivity
You used to
can
be
work for the
you
games.
used to be a Metro PCS
I used to be a Metro
guy.
PCS guy. But then I went to
Then he got a
Seattle.
raise.
Yeah, I got more money. No, then I went to Seattle and I couldn't make a phone call because Metro PCS piggybacks on Sprint. But
They have
don't let
Sprint.
them.
They have Sprint
They
in
have Sprint
Seattle.
there in Seattle, but
Yeah,
they
so
don't
how
let
come we
them.
can't-
They don't let them use the
I
network.
mean, they don't let them.
It's a
Did
long
you pay
story.
your bill?
No, I'm actually defunct on it. No, so they have service there, obviously Sprint, but Sprint knows they do really good business in Seattle, so they're like, well, we don't want to let them.
how's that?
It's like a remaindered business,
What?
right?
Kind of, yeah.
What's the lot? Oh, okay. So in other words, it's basically old. Well, you would know about the remainders business.
No, my book's all sold immediately.
We're going to be right back right after this message.
I'm Danica Patrick, IndyCar driver and GoDaddy girl. I know a little bit about speed, so take it from me. If you want a fast way to make a name for yourself on the internet, GoDaddy has everything you need. GoDaddy got me online fast, and they can do the same for you. .com names as low as $1.99. When you have something to say it at GoDaddy.com.
Welcome back to the Cranky Geeks. With regard to that ad you just saw, don't forget the domain names on GoDaddy.com are up to 75% less than the competition. And you get another 10% off if you use the code CRANK, C-R-A-N-K. See the site for details. Some restrictions apply. All right. Netflix getting Paramount, Lionsgate, and MGM content. What is that? What does this mean?
This is super cool.
It is?
Yes.
You know what I love about Netflix?
Everything.
They did not have that great of a business model. Everyone thought Blockbuster, Walmart, anyone can jump in here and kill you. Then DVDs kind of went away they've sort of had everything against them, but it is such a great company at execution. They have just bobbed and weaved their way through it, and they're still relevant. Even in a world where TiVo, which should have been more relevant, has declined. I mean, Netflix has just navigated this better than anyone else in sort of the tech entertainment
I take
hub.
it you're a subscriber.
I love it.
It's incredible, and why they did so
I
well.
think Reed's an amazing CEO. I mean, I think this is where you see in Silicon Valley execution beats idea.
Oh, well, this is the other part of execution is the online streaming. The online streaming really brought this to the mainstream. I mean,
Willingness to kill your own business.
Yeah, well, nice. It's almost like you're like, oh, we're going to cannibalize your own thing, but no, you're not. You're going to get a whole new subset of people who want to just watch things online or through their Xbox 360 is how I watch it. And the 360 integration was beautifully done because it lets you see things that you didn't even know you wanted to watch. That kind of discovery engine was built in beautiful.
The
as you see
UI
there
is
on the
horrible, though. We try to watch streaming Netflix through the 360 at home, and it's.
Oh, we
I'm
enjoy it,
always
really?
I think it's so unnavigatable. That's my one.
There's an instant queue that you can manage from your laptop, and then it just goes into your. To your
We're always
360.
like clicking around on the thing and like,
Oh, I
how do
love
we
it.
have?
So here's what I want to know as someone who's never used Netflix in his life.
Yes.
Is there a cap on how many movies I can watch in a
No.
given month? There is not. And how much does it cost Netflix to stream all this stuff?
It's like $15 a month. You just get the Netflix.
how much does it
cost
it's
on
them?
Netflix?
What's the back end cost?
Oh, I don't know that number.
It's got to be high.
Yeah. So I mean, if people start going nuts with this kind of thing, what happens to
I don't
their
think an
margins?
average person doesn't go nuts because you have this instant queue and you're like, you just need to get through it. You know, there's like a kind of queue of movies you want to get through. It's just like almost like we're doing the thing where we gave the DVDs and got them, you know, but we're just doing it in a
I think
streaming
because
sense.
it's full movies or full TV shows, it's not, people will sit down and watch one movie, but they're not going to watch 10 movies in a row.
Okay. And can I pause?
Yep.
For
Fast
bathroom
forward,
breaks?
rewind.
Or
It's awesome.
I can. All right. Wow.
And not everything's on there. I mean, that's
So you're
But the
sold.
story,
it's
the
the best service that's out there.
The story's about the movies, which is awesome because for the longest time it didn't have like the newest movies. It had like, Teen Wolf, and I'm like, I don't want to watch Teen Wolf. Again. Teen Wolf 2.
I had to watch Stan Helsing the other day.
Oh, really?
There's a movie for
You
you.
worked that joke in. Little joke. Anyway, so this is great. Paramount, Lionsgate, and MGM content. I think it's going to be cool. New movies.
I just think 9 out of 10 publicly traded CEOs would not creatively destroy their own business. I mean, him coming out and saying, this business is dead, let's get into the next one.
Right. But weirdly enough, they're doing both, though. They're still doing both.
Well, talking about television, Steve Jobs is not jazzed, according to at least one article. But he's got this is coming out, I guess, in September. There's going to be a big rollout of something. We don't know what, but we believe it's going to be another version of the Apple TV plus maybe something else. And I'm thinking that one of these days, Apple's going to actually have to bring out a branded screen. They sell screens now, right? So they can bring out a big, just like a 60-inch monitor screen that is Apple TV built in and all this other stuff, and you can get IPTV on it, and get the Netflix stuff and go shoot it straight in. And I think they're going to have to do that. Does anybody have any thoughts on this?
That's an interesting idea.
But Jobs doesn't think there's going to be much to it, at least for now.
Well, because he doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of competition for him right now. I mean, with Boxy and all the different other set-top boxes out there. It's hard for him to kind of make inroads.
Let's not forget, there's this thing called cable and satellite, and that stuff isn't going away. No, I mean, the New York Times had a pretty good article yesterday that talked about one brave soul who got rid of his cable, and a year later he was back with it, because you get piecemeal stuff with Hulu and the rest of these types of things, and if you want to watch HBO shows, you got to have cable. I think we're going to be stuck in a long period of time where there is just kind of anarchy, and you've got the Boxies and the Hulus slugging it out with the dish networks, and there's no clear winner, and people who want some sort of comprehensive package are going to have to be.
You do know that everybody in their 20s right now, generally speaking, college kids until they get to be maybe in their late 20s, they don't have it. They don't even have a TV.
No, they're in college. They do have those things.
But they're not subscribing to cable necessarily.
I mean, most of those things are provided in their dorm rooms for free.
You know what? I didn't subscribe to cable when I was in college either, because I didn't have any money.
Yeah,
when I got out and got a job, I got a cable subscription.
Yeah.
I'm very dubious of those numbers. I think we're in one of these situations where it's a protected market with a lot of players who don't want to, give up their fiefdoms. At the same time, there's all these other fragmented players sloshing around the web, and everyone coming at it from different angles. So it's not a pure protected model. No one's making money out like music was, where Apple can just come in and disrupt it. But it's not really a free-for-all either. It's somewhere in the middle.
Let me remind you of the Hulu Plus. Obviously, you guys know about that. It's coming out. It just rolled out. I got the preview of it right now. It's rolling out for 360 as well as laptops. And Hulu Plus will give you full seasons. I mean, it's up to these guys.
Of how many shows?
Of a lot of shows.
Yeah, of a lot of shows.
NBC.
That's the problem.
Of course, it's going to be spotty.
If you have a family, there are going to be certain shows that are must-see, and they're not provided on Hulu, and therefore you have to have.
Or you have to pay
cable
for them on Hulu, so you might as well get it on cable.
Exactly.
And have the direct TV, have things on command.
Well, I like some.
Yeah, but I still want a la carte. I mean, at the end of the day, I still want a la carte, because I don't want cable. I don't want 5,000 channels.
Well, I absolutely do want a la carte, but true a la carte means I can get whatever I want.
What station you want.
And that is not what Hulu or anyone else has been able to provide.
We're getting there. It's baby steps right now.
But does Apple take us there is the question.
I don't think so.
My prediction is we won't be there 10 years from now.
Well, that's too. Okay, let's make a bet, because that's a long number.
Certainly
I think it's
5.
before that.
Certainly 5. And that means that the next 5 years we've got all of this kind of crazy piecemeal kind of stuff.
I'm going to take between 5 and 10.
Okay.
I'm going under 5. John?
I'm not in on these bets. These long-term bets nobody ever pays. Yeah. What? I don't remember that.
Have you?
I never paid.
I always pay. In fact, I just paid. If you watch the
last. Does that mean you lose a lot?
Actually, most of the time I win. I'm disgusted by the fact that I can't get money out of these people.
All right.
We can't all make the cranky geek money.
I'm just telling you out there. You know who you are. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back right after this message. I'm John C. Dvorak, and I want to tell you about Carbonite, which is a product I use to do online backup. I've finally given up on buying those little disk drives. And then I noticed my wife lost a hard disk recently, and she refuses to back up. So I got her an account, and now I don't have to worry so much. Carbonite's $55 a year, which is actually cheaper than a hard drive. And if you use the code word CRANK, C-R-A-N-K, you can get a 15-day free trial. And if you decide to buy it, you'll get 2 months free. Check it out. Carbonite. Back it up. Get it back. Welcome back to the Cranky Geeks. Onward. Apple TV. Or and by the way, here's a good story I want to get to, which is the 3D things going on right now with small displays. Fuji just came out with a little camera. That this is their second iteration. The first one they sold only to a kind of a specialty market, and which allows you to take 3D pictures. It's got 2 sensors, 2 lenses, and it has. And I saw this thing recently. It's a very nice little camera. But what's cool about it is the display is in 3D. So you can take your 3D picture, and it also you can put it on. It's got 720p or 1080i or something coming out of it, but you can look at the thing and it's like, wow, this is a 3D display.
Do they have anything more culturally relevant than Garfield on it?
Yes, they did.
Is there anything besides Garfield?
Yeah.
These
Garfield's
you take your own
amazing.
picture and you can look at yourself. So anyway, so you get but the display itself is in 3D, and then you can turn it on and off, and it's like, wow, it's pretty cool. And so you can make these small 3D displays, and that's what the Nintendo 3DS is going to be. And they're very nice. But they've been trying to make them bigger and bigger. So now Toshiba thinks it can do this. Now, I don't know if you've gone to these display shows or ever seen any of these things. I have seen these freestanding 3D displays, and they're fuzzy.
Yeah, you can't enlarge it. You can't make it bigger because it looks great, crisp and small.
Yeah.
The minute you start moving it out, it just looks weird because I mean the 3D glasses one is different because it's it's your whole vision. But the one you have to just do it within that frame, it makes sense on a small scale. But the 3DS looks awesome. The Nintendo.
What is
3D.
the cost though? I mean, does the cost justify the cool factor? Because it's one of those things where if it wasn't a lot more expensive, I'd be like, man, I totally want that.
With
but
your
I'm not
big
gonna...
screens that use the glasses, the cost is essentially zero. They're charging you. I mean, you have to buy the premium screens, but the circuitry in there is like a chip, and now they could it can make the 3D effect with the crazy glasses. But the cost on the ones that's freestanding, now I have to assume that they look okay with the 3D turned off, so you don't have like this horrible muddy screen, because the little displays that are on the back of the camera and will be on the Nintendo, when you turn off the 3D, it's fine.
It's fine.
It looks just
there's a
like
slider.
Right. And
Unless you take away the 3D.
It looks just like a regular thing.
Yeah.
So I would assume the big things are too. But you said you'd get one. Would you get one?
I'd get one. I mean, if it wasn't a big price differential.
Yeah. Well, the price
I'm in
there's
the same
going to be
boat.
one for a while.
Yeah.
But I would say eventually it'll be probably not a differential.
It's
As
a
long
party
as-
trick.
Well, as long as
I mean,
it's
you're not going to pay it for a party trick. But like, I'll pay $50 for a party trick.
It's a gimmick. I think it's a total gimmick. I think it's cool though.
It's a cool gimmick though.
They had the one movie that I saw at the Fuji little dog and pony show, and I think this is a cool thing to do. They had some kid with a squirt gun, one of those pump ones, and he's squirting around, and he squirts right at you, and I guess that piece of glass over the camera, and it looks cool because it looks like you're getting hit with water.
here's where 3D
I'm
works.
bored, okay?
That's nice. Here's where 3D works. So,
He also thinks Garfield's cool.
nice.
I got nothing to do with Garfield.
It was on the screen.
That's our producer in the booth.
Let me say something real quick. So
You're more of an
3D
Odie man.
Yeah, Odie.
3D for the big is corny, I think. I think it's a fad. But 3D for the small is fun, especially in the game sphere, because if you have it on the 3DS, you can actually move around the unit, whether that's your iPhone or your smartphone, and that actually reveals different sections and like locations on your screen. Now you're not going to do that with your big TV, obviously, or go like this. That's going to be silly. But I think on a small handheld unit, that makes sense, because then it gives you more real estate.
It sounds to
You
me
get it?
like a pretty specialized niche.
Garfield again.
Take Garfield off the screen. We're sick of
This
it.
story is actually about
Where's my
Garfield.
lasagna?
So, okay, so this brings us to another story, which is can gaming save Google?
Oh.
Which I think is your story.
Yes.
And why are you? And of course, now I know, has got some negative thoughts.
Okay.
Go,
So,
please.
just to introduce, so we've been breaking a lot of news on TechCrunch about all the investments that Google is making in the gaming space. That's one big reason they bought Slide. They bought a mobile payments company. They've invested at least $100 million in Zynga. They're getting super aggressive. We had news today that the head of this has already left. So, okay,
What?
Google's putting a lot of money in. This is their play into social to beat Facebook. We're not really confident about what's going to happen. I think it's a little bit odd. I think there's more important things Google could be doing. I think Google
Like
could
making
be doing
search
a lot
better?
Or, Android. I mean, to me, Android phones in the emerging market, that's a huge long-term opportunity.
Well, and Google
To
TV.
me,
Google
yeah.
TV.
Well, I think it's kind of
Okay.
stupid. But I think also things Google was doing, like, clean tech stuff in the Mojave Desert, mapping the ocean. I mean, Google as a science company has a ton of money to throw at really big opportunities. I kind of think Google gaming a little bit, is it worth hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zynga and Facebook are already own the space right now.
It looks like they're
And-
running scared.
Who's running scared?
Google.
Oh, yeah. And it's silly to get into it. I really have a big problem with these casual games because I've said on so many different shows, I think it's a fad. I really do. I think that people are interested in this now, but on the long term, people are going to get sick of getting these little notifications over and over again. Come play this game with me. Come play this. Like,
but you don't think it evolves? I mean, because that's what a lot of people said about the early Facebook applications, and they evolved into social games. What if they evolve into something more substantial?
Then they have to be on a different system than my computer. They have to be on a console. They have to be, you know what I mean? Like, I can only do so much on my laptop, and I don't think that that's where, I mean, PC gaming's dead.
Do you play any games at all?
Yeah, I play console games. I play games on my 360.
What's your favorite game?
Weird.
Weird?
I
never heard of that.
Limbo is my favorite new game. Limbo.
Rush Limbo?
Yes, Rush Limbo the game.
Take a lot of
It's a lot of yelling.
A lot of yelling.
A lot of yelling.
Do you play games?
I like Guitar Hero. That's about it. Sorry.
That's not even a game.
I'm a
Don't
girl.
like games at all.
So this audience. So in other words, we have a group here that doesn't play games and doesn't really understand.
Wait,
the
now this guy plays.
Are you talking about me? I have game. I
How
have a
come you're not
video game
playing
show.
World of Warcraft? And that's the
Gross, because I don't want to like spend my like whole life in the basement. No offense, World of Warcraft. No, I mean like that's a all-encompassing MMO. I'm not going to play that, but I can talk on the subject.
Do you think it's strange that Google is putting hundreds of millions of dollars into casual games?
I agree with your theory that they seem to be running scared or they're fearful of something. They don't know. I don't even know if they know what
It's
it
just
is.
another market they're not in.
Why couldn't they just be hedging their bets?
Well, that's fear.
As opposed to running scared.
Well, but that's a lot of money to be hedging a bet.
I mean, hundreds of millions. I mean, how many hundreds of millions?
So at least 3-4 it seems like, and they're not done yet.
Well, okay, it reminds me of Google TV,
that's
right?
significant money even for Google to invest in a new area.
Yeah, I mean, they invest in a lot of things. They throw things
you
at
don't
walls
think
and
it's a
see
big
what
deal?
But
sticks.
this isn't an internal thing that they're throwing at a wall. They're buying huge companies and making big investments in existing companies. That seems like a different Google strategy to me.
They're doing crazy stuff with telephony now, and nobody really knows what they're doing there, and they're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars there. I mean, Google is a company that has very aggressive ambitions, and they want to own huge chunks of everything, even if they're not sure.
But isn't it usually something that's an area other people aren't going after because they don't have the money to go after it, or it's a big complex problem, or something like that? I mean, this is just really trying to
The
be
big
Zynga.
complex problems, they tend to not cost very much for them to go after, and so they're just like, well, why not? We'll throw 4 guys on it, and as you said, it's a sort of an internal thing. But I mean, they bought Gizmo 5. I mean, they're doing all kinds. There's stories out just yesterday that the Register and CNET had that talked about a telephony thing that's tied to Gmail. I mean, these guys are just trying all kinds of stuff out. A fair amount of that is home-baked stuff, but a fair amount of it is stuff that they buy.
I'm going to agree with Dan and say they're hedging their bets because I mean, with Google TV, which I keep mentioning, is that they were looking at where are we not? You know what I mean? Oh, we're not on this space. Your television. So where else are we not? In video games.
They didn't go out and buy a company for $300 million.
They bought some companies around that transaction, though, around that whole.
But for 50
launch.
or less, right?
Probably.
I mean, I'm just saying it's a difference in their strategy.
Okay. Numbers.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back right after this message. Hi, I'm John C. Dvorak, and this is a Squarespace moment. If you haven't taken a look at Squarespace as a new blogging paradigm and a quick way to throw up a website, just go to the site squarespace.com. Take a look at the homepage, a look at tour examples, pricing, and sign up. Hit examples, and take a look at some of these sites that have been done using this. They're unbelievable. Here's Kevin Pollak, for example, famous stand-up comic and actor. He's got all his stuff, including a bunch of videos up here, and he even sells his CD. That's been a Squarespace moment. Welcome back to the adventures of the Cranky Geeks. We have a bunch of cranks here today, at least according to the chat room. Of course, they're all citing Dan, which we know.
And my wardrobe.
And his fine wardrobe. Not quite the floating head that we were hoping for. So what was the guy I was going to bring up? It was the
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Oh, this is an interesting story, and I think Dan knows about it. Microsoft's got itself in a bind here because DLLs, which I never liked, especially when they're centralized on a system, along with the registry, a couple of I don't know, annoyances about Microsoft Windows. Apparently now they've got some DLL exploits which people have nothing but difficulty dealing with, and Microsoft may not be able to fix Tell us
Well,
about it.
Microsoft has said that they will not be fixing it. This is something that each individual maker of an application, like iTunes, will have to fix individually. To be fair, iTunes has already fixed it. But
Well, explain how it works.
well, so essentially, if I can trick you into opening, an MP3 for a Winamp or something like that, and I can trick you into opening it on my server, I can put an accompanying DLL that's malicious along with it, and I now own your machine. I now have malware installed on your machine, and I can see all your banking transactions and whatever else I want to do. And the only way that this can be fixed is for each individual application to come out with its own patch. So it's a huge mess.
What about its virus signature? Because DLL's got to have something in it that is noticeable by a scanner.
Not
Come
really.
on, it has to. It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, the DLL, I don't
Once
think...
you identify the bad DLL, there's no reason that a scanner can't look at it and say, well, this is a bad one.
But then they just go and they add one comma to it, and the signature completely changes, and you repeat
Yeah, but at
the
least
thing
you'll
all
know,
over again.
you might have some clue as to where the thing came from,
Listen, this is an age-old problem with virus detection. We could have talked
All right.
about it when we were talking about the silliness of Intel buying McAfee.
Are we done? Are we
Look at
done yet?
these two over here.
I don't know what's
We're
going
just
on.
gonna
What's
leave.
happening?
Oh
Oh wait, Microsoft can be hacked.
They
Wow.
don't care
Here's a news story.
a bit. This is the problem, by the way, with tech today. It's like you
Oh,
actually talk about tech and nobody cares.
It's Microsoft being able to be hacked. No big whoop.
Let's talk about the Kindle versus the iPad, which seems to be, I don't know why this is evolving as a major story, but it is. In terms of, is the iPad taking over the market? Is the Kindle going to survive? The new Kindle
Because there were
coming out on
numbers out
Friday.
this week showing the Kindle is selling way more books than the iPad. That's why it's a story. Because everyone said the Kindle's done when the iPad came out.
I never said it.
Lo and behold, we don't want to read backlit books.
Yep, we want real paper. Whoa, craziness.
So what do you think? There's a new one.
Well, there's a
coming
new
out on
one. It's
Friday.
smaller and it's nice.
Smaller, nice.
Yeah, and it fits in any pocket. It's great. I love it. It doesn't fit in your pocket, but
Do you use these
it's a
things?
nice looking device.
I have both, but I have to say I usually read paper books. There was a study that came out that showed that people read 30% slower.
So
on
you
these
go
devices,
three ways.
And I like to read fast. I try to read about a book a week, and it's too slow for me. I
What
lose
makes
interest.
it slower?
I don't know. There's
Is it
this is a study that's done. It's something about it. For me, I get distracted. I get easily distracted reading off of a device. If I'm on a train or something, it's too much like I'm looking around, I'm checking other things. If I'm on the iPad, there's other stuff going on. It's like reading something on my laptop, versus an
All of a sudden
immersive
the email
experience of a
pops
book.
up, you're like, too many distractions.
I love it being searchable. Frequently, I buy books on the Kindle because it is searchable. If I want to go back and find a quote, I can.
Yeah, I love that
I love being
part.
able to bookmark it. So I love the device still, and I'm not giving up on the Kindle. I mean, it's a me dinosaur problem. It's not a device problem, as far as I'm concerned.
So do you notice a speed difference between the Kindle and the iPad?
I can't do the backlit.
Oh, you can't read at all?
No. It hurts.
Gives you a headache?
Yeah.
Or-
Plus the way it refreshes and
I
stuff.
look at
It refreshes so
I mean,
weird.
I do love the things like the Alice in Wonderland book and making, books into these livable, illustrated, moving things. I think that's amazing. But I think just, me reading an economics of Chile book on the iPad is not compatible.
Right. Well, when you say interactive, I'm really excited for the interactive comic books coming out with this. But that medium, I still don't want to watch it on that kind of backlit thing. I almost would rather watch it on my computer or my laptop. Open my laptop, look at my fun digital comic or whatever,
Why?
and then just be done.
Laptop and iPad.
I just don't want to have an extra piece that I'm only using for a very few things. I'm not a lover of the iPad. But back to the story. The Kindle, I like it so much better than the iPad. I just think that it was always a good system. I love how you can buy books right from it.
The bookstore, I mean, to me,
the
as an
bookstore's
author,
awesome.
that's what I love about it. There's no other place where you can get an instant impulse purchase of
Yeah,
a book.
I love
and
that.
the fact that WhisperNet works, almost anywhere in the United States. I can be talking to someone in an airport, tell them I'm an author. Before they would say, I'm going to write that down. They're never going to go get it, even if they have the best intentions to go get it. But right now, they pull out their Kindle, one click, they own the book. I think it is such a game changer from an author point of view.
All of those are really good points. I will be the crank here and say I will not buy any of these things as long as they are locked to a device. I do not want proprietary formats.
They just added PDF to Kindle.
Well, right, but how many titles are available in it?
Right, I know. And that's what
I
publishers...
refuse to buy a title if I have to have a particular vendor's hardware or software in order to access it.
Let me agree with you and be cranky as well on another point. They need to lower these prices because, come on, people. $15 for
All
a
right,
digital
I'm going to
book?
disagree with you there.
Really? I thought
Yeah.
you could
No,
be
I'm going to
together on
disagree with you
something.
there. Authors need to get paid.
Well,
writing books is a huge undertaking, as I'm
2
sure.
years.
Yeah. And the only way that they can get compensated is if books can be sold for more than $9.99.
That is crap. You could sell more
That is not
volume. You
crap.
could sell more volume if you
No,
made it a lower price.
Certain
Not
people
unless-
that write
not unless
fluff,
it's a-
Danielle
yeah.
Steele, who writes garbage, can make that money. But a professor or somebody that's
Not
doing
for
scholarly
serious,
work.
either business, economic, history.
But there's no
books that-
cost to holding the content. It's all just storage. Why?
No,
But
we're talking.
You're paying for the author's work. You're
Right.
paying for the 2 years that author just spent researching something
Right.
and traveling and not doing anything else they could do it. You're paying for the intellectual property that went into the book, if you will, not the digital distribution. I agree it should be for a less amount of money, but it can't be like $1.
Okay, that's fine. That's
and
fine.
to finish off the show, I'm going to agree with Dan because with these digital devices, they sell 10x more books, so the price should be 10x less. I'm John C. Dvorak. You've been watching Cranky Geeks. We'll see you again next week.